Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Simply Growing Food Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan. Today, I'm going to be talking about the world of many milks. That's right. Cow, goat, sheep, donkey, and even camel. It's going to get weird. We're also going to be talking about a deep dive I recently did into hydroponic organic farming, which in itself seems like a contradiction, and that is because it is. This is a hotly contested topic in the organic farming world, and I recently stumbled upon it. I've done a little bit of research for you folks so you can be better informed when you're at the grocery store. That's what's coming up on the SGF. Stay tuned. All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Simply Growing Food Podcast. Okay, milk. Milk is on my mind. I'm not a big milk drinker, but I've been really wanting to dabble in the dark arts of cheese making. It is something I've been interested in for a long time, and I just never really got around to it. But I'm going to get into it. I recently found a recipe online, good old YouTube, some dude, some farmer, making like a cheddar, like a wheel of cheddar. And I found it pretty interesting. Pretty easy, too. We also have the proper environment for aging hard cheeses. So I'm just like really wasting time. I got to get on it. But my interest in the cheese has led me down this road of looking into some, milk producing animals and why and where and all that stuff. So I've got some interesting stuff about milk. We're going to start with cows. Okay. Cows are large. No. Yeah, cows are pretty big. They are the predominant milk producing animal, I believe, globally, for human consumption. And those of you so we work with a local creamery. Again, shout out to Woodstock Creamery. Their milk is delicious and their products are fresh. That was not a paid advertisement. But I'm a big believer in local. So their stuff is great. When we do drink milk, consume milk, we get it locally. I could tell you there's a difference. You could see the difference in the milk and in the flavor. And you know what? Their milk doesn't mess with my stomach. If I get conventional milk at the store or something, no, not good for me. It doesn't work. Now, and I've asked Angela, the farmer or artisan farmer, whatever, she runs the creamery, a couple of questions the other day about milk and cows and things of that nature. And I learned that butterfat is a big thing when it comes to what you're going to do with the milk. So just like chickens, which I've talked about before, every breed is, specifically bred to do something, to be good at something, to convert grain well, to meat, to convert grain well to milk, to be good moms, to have twins, all these different things that livestock has been bred for by region, by variety. Cows are no different, I guess is my point. So there's cold tolerant cows, there's warm tolerant cows, there's cows that produce a lot of milk, there's cows that don't produce a lot of milk. There's cows that you would primarily eat, and then there's cow breeds that you really wouldn't want to eat, and those would be primarily milk breeds, but there's nothing wrong with eating them either. It's all about how. A lot of times, like an older pig, same kind of thing. An older pig, they would just usually turn into sausage. So then every piece is tender. You're not growing a tender cut. There probably isn't one usually on an older sow. So normally what they'll do is they'll grind the whole thing, turn it all into sausage. So you could do the same thing with an older dairy cow or something of that nature, turn it all into burger. I'm sure it'll be delicious. Not the point. My point is there's different breeds of cows when it comes to what you're trying to make with your dairy products. If you're looking to have a lot of dairy, okay? In our case, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but we were just talking the other day about getting a dairy cow for Daigle Farm. And mainly for our own consumption, because we went and we tried the Kerrygold butter, okay? And it was good. It's great, okay? But we use a lot of butter. So if we used one package of Kerrygold a week, we're like $500, $520 for the season, just in butter. So I did a little bit of research. I was like, well, how much does it cost on average to keep a dairy cow? Google was wildly speculative. And of course, everybody's situation is different. Breed of cow is going to matter. The size of your area that you allow them to range is going to matter. All of those things are factors. So the old Google says anywhere between $500 and $2,000 a year to keep a dairy cow, okay? It's actually doesn't seem that crazy to me. I spoke with Angela. I think she had told me that they've got it down to or they did this math at one point, and it's like $3 a day their end. And they're much bigger, per cow. $3 a day per cow, okay? Which puts you in that sweet spot annually between $500 and $2,000 a year. So, I don't drink a lot of milk. Cass doesn't drink a lot of milk. But if we got a breed of cow that had a higher butterfat content, and then we were taking all that butterfat and using it in our coffees, which, hey, shout out Two Dogs Coffee. I got you in the cup again today. I got you guys in the cup every day.
Every day. I mean, every day.
I've been going on almost 2 full years of just drinking this locally roasted coffee, and it is amazing. This is just another free plug. They're not paying me to say this. It's just good Joe. You know what I'm saying? Now that's their Frank's blend, the original blend. Hey, I've tried all the other ones. I gotta tell you guys, Brittany and Gwilym are doing something right. The Frank's blend is my favorite. Check them out, guys. Two Dogs Coffee. Plug over. Anyway, can't help myself. But cows, milk. For our use, we're thinking cheeses, we're thinking butter, we're thinking cream, again, for the coffee. And, if we started crunching the numbers on our cream consumption, it would probably be gross. It would probably be something dollars-wise that rivals butter, I would imagine. And if butter's $500 a year, and let's say cream is like $7, now we're at $1,200 a year. Just in dairy products, right? I like cheese. Cass likes cheese. We get cheese. We buy cheese. Cheese probably isn't that much, but the cheese will probably put us over the 1,500 mark annually for dairy product consumption. And we still buy local dairy. So the problem is we can't find cream locally, butter locally, or hard cheeses locally. And those are the 3 dairy things that we consume. So it's like, at some point, if we're trying to know where the food's coming from and control all of what we eat, then at some point we're going to have to get a cow. But hey, oh God, I've said it, so it's probably going to happen. You know how that goes, everybody. Anyway, cows. Some cow varieties, the average, what I've done for research, has shown will give you 6 to 7 gallons of milk a day. That's a lot of milk. It's not a lot of cream if you were going to break that out, and it's certainly not a lot of butter because you need the cream to make the butter. So, there's always going to be trade-offs of what you're making, but you're constantly, every day, even 5 gallons of milk every day, you got to process it. Well, you got to get rid of it. You got to find a use for it. So my thought was a dairy share. I know we've got quite a few customers, a lot of neighbors that would probably jump at the chance to buy into a dairy cow, and we would maintain it. They would come and get their milk or dairy products or whatever the deal is. Just if you're listening and that's interesting and you're within our proximity, I'm not going to ship it. Maybe someday. Might ship cheese. That's like shelf stable. Getting off track here. Anyway, and then while other varieties of milk producing cows can give you 10 to 12 gallons a day. Now, I'm not a dairyman. I don't know a ton, but that's a lot. And that's just what I found online. I didn't get too deep into those weeds with Farmer Angela at the creamery. I was a little bit more interested in, breeds and why. And, she's been in the business a lot longer than I have, farming, period. So she knew stuff about dairy cows. We're trying to get her on. We're trying to have her on. She would be great to get out there and let people listen to her. Very knowledgeable about this industry, and the cows. So anyway, studies have shown that using or drinking local milk is richer in vitamins. That's not necessarily surprising. I took a bunch of notes, believe it or not, for this episode. I've got like 3.5 pages of notes, which is crazy. And I've just been reading and writing things down. But so bear with me as I decipher my calligraphy. The studies show that grass-fed butter specifically is more nutritious, maybe more nutritious than conventionally produced butter. That's not surprising. It has a higher, it's higher in healthy unsaturated fats like omega-3 and, what did I write here? Conjugated linoleic acid. Yeah, there we go. Or CLA. So I did a little research on what CLA is, or conjugated linoleic acid. And it's basically known to help reduce body fat, potentially, improve cholesterol, potentially, and reduce the risk of cancer, all potential. Not that these unsaturated fats aren't found in conventional milk. It just says that there's higher concentrations in grass-fed milk, which would make sense. You see the difference when it comes to local or grass-fed anything, really. So the dairy would follow in line with that to me. The United States produces 26.4 billion gallons annually. Okay? Let that sink in. 26.4 billion gallons. I'm going to give you some breakdowns of what that might look like. That is equivalent to 40,497.6 Olympic-size swimming pools of milk, of cow milk. And that is roughly 330 million conventionally sized bathtubs. So that means roughly every American citizen could have their own bathtub of milk. Yeah. That's a weird thought. But anyway, yes, milk is also a great source of vitamins and antioxidants such as A, D, E, K2, and beta-carotene. I did speak with Angela a little bit yesterday. She was telling me that a specific breed of cows, and I'm going to say a variety. It's called Ayrshire. It's one of my favorite. It's in the running if we get a dairy cow. It's one of my favorite cows. Ayrshire. And there is a local milk producer that only has Ayrshire, and they're very nice looking animals. But anyway, supposedly they have the highest concentration of beta-carotene in their milk. And there's something else about the Ayrshire milk. Maybe salt content? I can't remember what she said. This is why we got to have her on the show. Angela, if you ever listen, come on. Come talk to us. People want to hear from you. We want to be educated on milk because I am just barely touching the tip of the cheese wheel. Anyway, yeah. cow milk. And then now I'm like, now I'm just thinking about if I had a cow, where would I put it? What would my setup be like? I did talk to her about like how long would, every day, how much time would it take to feed, maintain and milk a dairy cow in my situation. Kind of chalked it up to 30 minutes. 30 minutes a time, maybe 30 to 40 minutes a day. It's really not that bad. Again, there's so many logistics to work out. I don't want to just go haphazardly getting a dairy cow and not have an event lined up, or proper shelter, of course, or more education on keeping a ruminant like a cow and its dietary requirements other than grass, which is good. Is kind of the point, grass fed, but it's got to be something else. I know a lot of farmers will give their animals minerals as like a supplement, because if they're not out, especially in the wintertime, if they're not out able to range on freshly growing grass, they're not going to be able to get all the things that they need. So, when I say something else, I don't mean corn. I mean, I'm sure there's another nutritional supplement that these animals will need, especially in the wintertime. I will learn more about it because it is likely to happen. I want to make cheese. I want to get a little bit more in touch with self-preservation. And I think that a dairy cow is a huge step in self-preservation, especially for us. So, anyway, I'm going to move on from cows to goats. Now, recently, the other night, Monday, I don't remember what the day was, the 9th, I think, I got a call to go on to the Community Workbench podcast with Matt and Kyle. And it was a little last minute. I guess I had a cancellation. I love to fill in. So we went. No, we didn't go. I went. Cass stayed home. But then there was another business owner there, Adam from Chubby Dog Coffee in Putnam and in Danielson. I met him. Nice guy, seems like. We all had a good chat, and it was fun. But we went over there. I went over there, and I'm like thinking about this podcast now and the milk research I've been doing. And I was like, hey, Adam, you're a coffee connoisseur, one would say. Why is there no goat milk latte? You know what I'm saying? I'm not a goat milk snob, but I know the marketing behind goat milk is astronomical, especially when it comes to soap and skincare products. So, I'm just going off of a good idea for a sale. It's a little gimmicky, but like, hey, goat milk latte, you could probably get a few more bucks a cup just for the sole fact that it's goat milk. Now, the problem is what he said is sourcing it, and that's a good point too. Where to get goat milk locally that is able to be used at that scale in a cafe or what have you. So that seems to be the issue with that. But if anybody out there that hears this has ever had a goat milk latte, fill me in. Fill me in. Let me know what it was like. Anybody out there doing it, if you're a coffeepreneur, right? Because there's a lot of coffeepreneurs these days. With the cottage license, we can even roast our own coffee beans. I mean, that's literally all it takes if you want to become a coffee roaster. Yeah, you got to have some skill and knowledge and the right equipment. But as far as licensing goes, it seems like all you need is a cottage license, and then you're off and running. Importing 100 or 80 to 100 pound burlap sacks of coffee beans, that might require some other further investigating when it comes to permits and stuff. We should have Brittany or Willem from Two Dogs Coffee come back and maybe give us an inside look at that. I never thought to ask them that when I had Brittany on. If you guys are listening, come back. We'll have you on. Anyway, goat milk. So whereas a cow, we're going to say 6 to 12 gallons, depending on breed a day. Milk from a goat, you're looking more at to 3 to 4 maybe gallons of milk a day. Smaller animal, right? Decreases the availability of milk, which is increasing the scarcity, of course, supply and demand. Which is why the other coffeepreneur, Adam, so it was like, well, good luck sourcing it, right? Like, where are you going to get it? Fair point. Any goat milk producers out there, if you're listening, could be a thing. You probably have to be local to the quiet corner of Northeast Connecticut, but if you are, which I don't think there are any, unfortunately. I've had goats. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I had goats back in the day. I thought I was going to become a goat cheese maker. I thought, having never really tried goat milk, I liked goat cheese, but I was like, I'm going to get a couple goats. I'm going to breed them. I'm going to milk them. It's going to be a big thing. It wasn't, never became anything. I did breed the goats. We had babies. That was fun. Sold every one of them, and never got back into it. Never got goats again. It happens. I had what's called an Alpine goat, and then I had an Alpine Nubian mix. Okay, those are two different breeds of goats. The best breeds of goats when it comes to milk are going to be as follows. Saanen, some people say Saanen, sorry. Saanen goat. Alpine, Nubian, La Mancha, and Toggenburg. Now, I like Toggenburgs. If I was going to get into goat milk making, I would do Toggenburgs. They're nice looking goats. They're small, but they're not too small. They produce well, and they're manageable. So that's something. Before I forget, well, I already did. Back to cows real quick. Apparently, just like chickens, they have a pecking order. They don't call it a pecking order. It's just a hierarchy of who's top cow. I learned this yesterday. Foolish naivete of me to think that there was not some form of a hierarchy in the cow world. That only makes sense. There's hierarchies in every world when it comes to life. So, duh. But Angela was explaining to me how they have this one head cow, and she's sassy, and she likes to, she doesn't want to be pet, but she wants to act like she wants to be pet, so she brings, she was getting into it. It was pretty funny. And then there's like some cows that can be kind of aggressive, like by breed, which is why you'll see a whole herd of just Ayrshire, or like a whole herd of Holsteins, or what have you. And again, those farmers are specializing in butterfat content, how much they can produce. If they're also selling the meat, they need to have a good dual-purpose breed. What's the mothering capability of the breed that they want to use? Are they trying to do calf huts? Are they trying to do on mom? What's the situation? So there's a lot to that. Okay. I just want to throw that out there. I didn't know that cows had a hierarchy. It's funny. And they will jostle with each other and put each other in their place just like chickens. And people, I guess. So, Toggenburg, my favorite goat. I've had goats, did it, didn't like it. Won't do it again. I tried to milk them. I didn't have any experience with that. I just watched some videos and tried it. I did get milk from them. I did not do anything with the milk but feed it back to the babies. So there's that. Goat milk is actually higher in butterfat content than cow milk, technically, by 1 to 2%, which does make it really good for cheese and yogurt, which is why you will commonly find it in those forms and not in its raw milk form. Or milk form. I don't mean raw milk. I don't want to get confused here. So that led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I'm like, well, then there must be goat cream and there must be goat butter, right? Of course there is. I found goat butter on Amazon. It's $12 for a half a pound. So I probably will never buy it.
I only have like $3.50, so it's hard. Super hard.
But if I could get my hands on some goat cream, local goat cream, maybe I'll make my own. I don't know. It's not that tedious. I've seen people make butter. Okay, I can figure it out. So yeah, half a pound. What is that? No, this is effectively triple the cost almost of cow butter, goat butter. Goat butter is, goat milk, goat dairy is lower in lactose, so it is a little bit easier for people to digest, commonly used in cheese, yogurt, ice cream, and drinking. Again, small plug, goat milk latte. You coffeepreneurs, don't miss the boat. Let's do a goat milk latte. Find a farm. Go big. I see it as big as goat milk soap. Stupid big. The bubble will pop quick, though. So do it fast. If you're going to do it. We're going to get into a little bit of another animal that I've had some experience with. Also, I didn't try to milk them, but I tried to breed them for consumption, was sheep. I'm a big fan of lamb. Sorry to those who are not. I know some people think it's morbid. I think sheep is just another protein source, just like a chicken or a cow, what have you. Sheep milk is actually the best for making yogurt. And Angela told me that at the dairy yesterday. The research I found says it's commonly used in cheese like feta, manchego, and pecorino romano, or parmesan, whatever. Very good, very good. Ironically, one of the sheep that I did have was an East Frisian, which is known for its milk production. What did I name her? Her name was Butters. And then my neighbors at the time started calling her Miss Butters, and they would feed her every day. And then I bought 2 more that were for meat, and those were Petunia. Oh man, what were their names? Petunia and Begonia? No, I wouldn't have done that. Maybe I would have. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But I've tried the goat. I've tried the sheep thing. I want to get back into sheep, not for milk, not for cheese. But if we're doing it, then maybe we will. I don't know. If we're doing it with cows, maybe we'll do it with some sheep too and make some fresh Parmesan. Man, that would be delicious. Got to get an Asiago recipe. Moving right along, because sheep, small category. Also, no sheep dairies in the area. Not a big thing in this country. Donkey cheese. Donkey cheese, that's right. There is a cheese made in the far-flung regions of Mongolia, Russia, Siberia area called pul. There is no umlaut over the U. It's P-U-L-E. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but I'm calling it pul or pule. It's probably pule. I don't know. But it's made with 60% donkey milk and 40% goat. Let's see. It is the world's most expensive cheese, coming in at a whopping $1,000 a pound, or approximately 1,400 rubles. Yeah. I've never tried it. I don't think I've ever been invited to an occasion where they would serve pule. I don't know those folks, those types of people. But if I did, I would try it. Oh yeah, it's made with the milk from a Balkan donkey and a Siberian variety of goat. Interesting. I'm gonna have to end the show quick because my coffee's almost out. Anyway, no, my coffee is out. Not almost, it's gone.
Oh, no.
All right, and real quick, we're going to touch on camel milk. What's that about? I saw a thing. A couple months ago on YouTube, a little docu-series thing about camel milk production, primarily in the Middle East and parts of Africa, and I was just like kind of fascinated by it. Because I always assumed that they milked goats in that part of the world for their source of milk or dairy, and they do, but they also do camels. Camels are... So there's like two industries. There's like race camels, and then there's like dairy camels. It's like a hybrid between horses and cows in this country. If we had an animal that did both, oh man, that'd be crazy. But we don't. Unless cow racing. Now that would be something. I know they have bull riding, but like a good old cow race? I don't know. It'd be a little scary. Not the point. Camel milk! Right. All right. The old Bactrian camel produces 1 to 2 gallons of milk per day. The genetics are Afghan and Pakistani camels are the most widely used in milk production in that part of the world, and I think probably in any part of the world. I did read that the United States does produce camel milk, but there's like less than 5,000 camels in dairy production in this country, which 5,000 even seems like a lot, but hey. Yeah, so the Afghan and Pakistani camels, to me, sounds like it's equivalent to our, like, Jersey cow or Holstein. Maybe that's a stretch. I don't know. But anyway. Yeah, I also read that camel milk, super rich in vitamins, as you could probably imagine, and minerals. Things like calcium, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, chloride, iodine, and magnesium are all to be found in camel milk. Now, this next one here is kind of, I'm going to call it controversial, but not really. I just couldn't find an exact number. I've seen estimates from 8 to 30, so that's a wide range. But what I found, camel milk is 8 to 30 times more richer in vitamin C than cow milk is, which is amazing. That's a lot. Even 8 times is a lot, but 30, my God. It's a lot of vitamin C in cow milk. Let's not, like, confuse ourselves. There's a lot. And if this has 8 to 30 times more, that's, so it's like a health food, basically. Let's see here. Yeah, primarily, Somalia, one of the largest producers of camel milk in the world. Let's see. I did a little bit of research on what it would cost to get some camel milk. Again, found it on Amazon, just like the goat butter. Camel milk on Amazon. I didn't get the brand, because that really doesn't matter. But it was $140 for a box of 12 jugs that were 16-ounce containers. So that equates to 1.5 gallons of camel milk for $140, making it $93.33 per gallon from Amazon. You're not going to go to a local dairy and find that anywhere. It's also low in butter fat, which means, or it sounds like they wouldn't make cheese, but they do. It's called Camelbert. Literally, the brand of cheese is Camelbert brand. Camelbert. Camel, B-E-R-T. Brand cheese. I believe the trade name, the proper term for camel cheese is Caravane, much like you would say Chev, I think, for goat. Don't quote me on that. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so Caravane or Camelbert camel cheese goes for $720 a pound and or $45 an ounce. Normally, when I buy cheese, I think they do sell it by the ounce, technically. No. Well, it's an ounce weight, like it's a 6-ounce block if you get it. And this was a hard cheese. That's enough, I think, about milk. I don't want to drink any now. I didn't want to drink any before. I'm really not going to drink any now. They also say that camel milk's super salty. That makes me feel weird. But I would probably try it. I would probably try it if the opportunity presented itself to try some camel milk. or some caravane, camel cheese. We are going to move on. We're going to move on. We're done with the milk. I'm done with the milk. We're going to move on, talk a little bit about organic and hydroponics and the hot debate that went on between these two things, and I guess still goes on. Now, I recently saw an organic farmer I follow online gave up their organic certification because of this situation, which I thought was quite interesting. Normally, I assume that farmers give up their organic cert because they come to terms with the fact that they're paying for something they don't really need. Like, just if you're already growing with organic methods in mind, then your product is already the same quality. There is no quality difference from an organic local grower to what we're doing here. We're not organic because we don't pay for it. But we are chemical free, 100%. We are growing all the food we're selling in soil. Soil's a big thing. One of the key what did I write down? Yeah, okay. One of the key proponents or key points in organic is building soil health. The plant is supposed to get its nutrients from the ground. We need to build the soil. It's one of the key tenets of organic farming, okay? Relationship with soil. Those of you who understand what hydroponics are, you know that there is no soil, by and large. I think that it gets weird when it comes to labeling of some things that you can grow in growing media, like compost, vermiculite, perlite, coconut coir, rice hull. Like, there's so many different growing substrates that I think you can use that fall under hydroponics. I don't think compost is one of them, and I don't think that, and it shouldn't be. Hello, right? But here's the thing. In hydroponics, how is that plant getting nutrition? Because there's no fish involved. That would be aquaponic. So if there's no fish involved, what are you feeding? How is the plant doing anything other than just water? And, well, they put a liquid food in the water because the plants need to eat something. So that right there should have been an all stop for hydroponics to be an organic.
Stop it. Get some help.
I did a little bit of research on this because we don't buy a lot at the grocery store, and I've never seen anything labeled hydroponically. Well, actually, I have seen hydroponic lettuce from the grocery store, like labeled hydroponic. But I didn't realize that there was this hotly contested debate in the organic world, because I don't believe in having a government-run organization labeling our food and telling us what makes it good. I understand why it exists. That's not the point. So I did a little research, and this really started in 2010. We're going back 15 years, but it's still a thing to folks with organic certification. Makes sense? So in 2010, at the National Organic Standards Board, which is a meeting, it's a group, it's a board, it's a government thing, they passed a recommendation that hydroponics could not be considered organic. Okay, this is 2010. That passed 13-1. Overwhelmingly, people said, yeah, no kidding. No kidding, right? A few years after that, Driscoll, everybody knows Driscoll, I'm sure, it's a national, global brand, started producing, or had been producing, berries hydroponically. Fast forward to 2015, there was a movement with farmers from across the nation. They called it the Keep the Soil in Organic. That was the name of the movement. Pretty basic, right? Farmers that were farming organically did not want a massive corporation like Driscoll to come in and say, hey, we're organic. Our berries are hydroponics, organic, bada bing, bada boom. Well, hydroponic growing is a direct confliction with, like I said, one of the key tenets in organic farming, which is soil building, the relationship with us and the plant and the ground. Okay? That's one of the first things. It's a bedrock in organics. Proper relationship and stewardship with the living soil. Okay? So anybody with common sense logic and reasoning would say, okay, well, if there is no soil, then it can't be organic. Duh. Well, 2017 rolls around, and there's a big meeting. The National Organic Standard Board has a big meeting in Jacksonville, Florida, where they have this debate. I didn't watch the debate. I'm giving you guys a quick synopsis that I saw. I'm sure there's a lot more detail. I didn't get access to the full documentary because I didn't want to pay for it. Sorry. It was good though. It was informative. They had like a little blurb on this other podcast I watched, so they had like an exclusive 15-minute release of this documentary. It was good. It was informative. But so 2017, they get together in Jacksonville, Florida to decide on this matter. If you grow a tomato or a blueberry while giving the plant 20% of its feed in liquid nitrogen, is that organic? And do we agree? That was basically the question. Had they said, that's not organic, hydroponic organic would have been gone right then and there. And they knew that. They were lobbied. They talk about it in the documentary. They were lobbied. There were lobbyists involved. They had big produce involved. Driscoll's huge. Driscoll was growing hydroponic berries like blueberries and strawberries, and now they're really doing it. And they can pass it off as organic. Even though it's not grown in any soil, it's organic. It's organic. There's no soil involved, and there's no living microorganisms that are working in symbiosis with the plant, the ground, the weather, the humans. No, it's very mechanical. It's very industrialized. It's very much not what organic had set out to do. So they basically pass this, they agree that it is in fact okay to feed a plant 20% of its feed in liquid nitrogen. Now, organic farming, they want the plant's feed to come from the soil, from the living microbiota within. And that now is not a key tenet of organic farming, which is now forcing farmers to ethically look at this decision and say, you know what, I'm already farming organically. I don't need to pay the government one more dime to say it is, because the consumer's already being duped. The consumer's already being duped. You're buying organic berries from Driscoll. Well, they literally got the definition of hydroponics changed. Do you understand how this works? Okay. So now, and they showed videos of it, of how they're growing blueberries, quote unquote, hydroponically. And basically all it is long lines of little berry bushes in pots, for lack of a better, they're basically grow bags, but they're not in the ground, they're in pots. And in the pot is just coconut coir. No compost. Just something for the roots to hold on to. Barely. And then they're lined up with drip tape and they're fed their nutrition. Right. A lot like a CAFO. Like confined operation of farming. CAFO. Confined agricultural farming operation. I think. But basically that is like growing, a house full of chickens, that's a CAFO. A stockyard full of beef, that's a CAFO. Yeah, that's a CAFO. They're not ranging anywhere. They're in this massive, it's a massive pen, but there's thousands of animals, so there's not much room to move around. In fact, CAFO production meat is still able to be called organic. Because it's not so much about the process when it comes down to meat organic. It's more about what that animal ate. And so it's deception upon deception, but the consumer doesn't know because they're not educated on it, because they're just looking at a label. There's too much going on. I can't think about it. You got to think about it. You got to think about it. So, another key tenet in organic farming is the fact that you're not supposed to use chemicals. Not supposed to be synthetics. There's no chemicals, none of that crap. But here we are saying that hydroponics is okay, and they rely on a chemical, a synthetic, to make it happen. Don't be duped. Hydroponics sounds cleaner, sounds better, blah, 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 blah. It's not. There's pros and cons, okay? And if that's how it's going to be done, it should not be considered organic. Okay? I don't even like organic, and I'm sticking up for organic here. Okay? A couple more fun facts. The European Union does not allow hydroponics to be considered organic. Period. The U.S. does. The U.S. has 1% of farmland in certified organic production. The European Union has 10%, and they are pushing to make that 25% within the next 5 years. How do I say this? They just changed the definition, okay? And took an ugly practice, which is no better than conventional farming, because it basically is using the same pharmaceuticals, we'll say, to make it all happen. And in hydroponics, it doesn't even have to have real sunlight. Shouldn't that be a thing? Shouldn't the food have to be grown with actual elements from the planet? I don't want to sound all hug a tree, but I have hugged a tree. There's nothing wrong with hugging a tree. Don't make it weird.
I love big leaf maples.
But shouldn't organic farming, organic produce, have to rely on nutrients from the soil, photosynthesis to occur naturally because of photocells from sun? I mean, not photocells, rays from the sun. And shouldn't the water just be water and not infused with a chemical slurry, right? These are the deeper you go into these labels, you will always find some scummy global company making money off of the label because now you can charge more because it's organic. You flood the market. You force farmers that are trying to be organic and doing the right thing out of the practice because they can't compete with how cheap organics becoming. What the... and first and foremost, organic shouldn't be expensive. There's less input. And then they make the argument, there's less harvest. Yeah, okay, quantify it then. Is it 20%? Is it 40% less harvest? Maybe you got to grow more. You have the space. There's so many things. I don't want to get into it. But anyway, pretty interesting. So when you see berries at the store that say organic, or if they say hydroponic, don't do it. Don't do it. Hydroponic is not the answer here. Okay? Aquaponic, where they're using fish, that's a little better. That's more of a closed system of nutrient, and it's more of a real system of nutrient. But that's not what they're doing. So if you shop hydroponic and you shop organic, know that if you're buying organic tomatoes and blueberries and strawberries from that company I mentioned earlier, there's a good chance that they're grown hydroponically with at least 20% of their food being a liquid chemical. That's going to do it for this episode of the Simply Growing Food podcast. I hope that you found it informational and educational, and if not, that's a shame. Bye-bye.